Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today we're returning to Quo and a very fascinating topic, personally for me. In my own spiritual journey, I've found a correlation between creativity and spirituality. As I've learned to become more artistic and paint and write songs and write stories, I've found a deeper connection to my Creator and also a greater power to create my own reality. I've been very fascinated by this unique connection, and it turns out that they've also asked Quo about this in particular. If this is your first time hearing of Quo, that's fantastic. Check out my previous episodes where I describe who Quo is and what they are primarily focused on. This is related to the raw material or the law of one. This is a social memory complex or a group of social memory complexes with the intention to teach specific spiritual principles that are needed in the current shift as we move to the new earth. We begin with a session of channeling on March 26, 2011. Jim Mccarty asked, the question this evening has to do with creativity. We are wondering in general how a creative outlet can help a seeker in mind, body, and spirit, enhancing the experience of the incarnation in learning and service, and maybe a little bit more information on how this creative energy that flows through us might be similar to the creative energy of the one Creator in making the creation, including us. We are those of the principle of Quo. Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator, in whose service we come to you this evening. We are very privileged to be called to join your session of working, and we thank you for the honor. Before we begin, we would ask each of you to use your discrimination when listening to our words. Take those things that seem alive and worthy to you and leave the other thoughts behind. If you will do this, then we shall quiet our concerns about infringing upon your free will. We thank you for this consideration. We ask concerning your creativity. You asked how it works to enhance the acceleration of evolution in mind, body, and spirit. And you asked how this process is related to the Creator's creation of the universe. We would first speak of how creativity aids in the evolution of mind, body, and spirit. As has been noted in the conversation that precedes this meditation, each entity will express creativity in a unique way. If you will think about the fact that you are part of the creative principle, sparks of the Creator, and fully worthy to be considered a co-creator, you may see that each entity possesses a creativity as part of its birthright. When that which you call life is occurring to you, it often seems that it is occurring in great waves of chaos, and yet as you talk to yourself concerning what is occurring, you are organizing that chaos into a story. It is a natural function of the mind to take hold of an infinite number of details and to create them a pattern that is intelligible to you and helps you to understand yourself. Working as you do with time passing away quickly and many things occurring, it is inevitable that sometimes your story may lose details that actually were part of the chaos and point up other details that seem to you to be indicative of pattern. History itself is a collection of stories, and moving deeper into the human experience, there are endless stories of myth and legend and lore that further explicate the deeper levels of consciousness. All of these stories contain an unmeasurable amount of truth mixed in with an unmeasurable amount of creativity. And as time slips away, who is to say what of history is true and what is myth? When the one infinite Creator produced the creation, it was so that the Creator could know itself. The Creator broke into infinite facets, each unique, so that each may experience what it means to be from an infinite perspective at once. When you create a story, you are mimicking the one great creation and getting to know facets of yourself. When this instrument creates a character, she is taking information and energies from the inside and flinging them out at an angle where they may be better studied and observed, and then taken back in again, analyzed and assimilated when the material is better understood. When numerous characters interact with each other, this is a way of talking to the self. This instrument finds that issues she has trouble resolving in her everyday life can be acted out and resolved in stories. The greatest creative urge comes from that passion and fire felt within things that must be understood, things that are longed for. It is a passion that drives one to express them over and over again from different angles until they are better understood. Such is the same with any creative act, be it building or drawing a picture or playing an instrument. The mode of expression is merely a matter of resonance. There are those who attune to notes of music, those who attune to reflexive movements in the hand that allow pictures to be created. All creative acts are modes of self-expression from the abstract perspective. In the need to produce something of permanence, thoughts come and go as quickly as the wind. To produce a creative work is to crystallize an image of the self caught in that one moment. Who were you at that exact point in time? It is crystallized and put forth that it may be viewed by the self, reflecting the search for wisdom imbued by other selves who are all characters in a much larger story. These are the lessons that we teach ourselves and the lessons we leave behind as we ascend the stairs of higher knowledge. The passion and fire about which we spoke is likened unto the intelligent energy of the one Creator, which has made each seeker in living the life, in breathing, speaking, moving, working, is expressing creative energy. The intelligent energy of the one Creator. This is necessary, shall we say, in order to give a form and a path through which the energy may flow to allow the Creator to know itself through each entity, and for each entity to feel itself and the Creator in this creative expression of intelligent energy. There are various refinements to the expression of this energy which are more generally referred to as the creative aspect of a personality. Those activities which you may know of as the musical expression, the written expression, the physical expression in dance, and so forth. These are the more refined methods of expressing this intelligent energy that is the source of all seekers' experience. When one is able to find a means by which to bring forth a creation that was not before known, this allows each entity to reflect the abilities of the Creator to make the creation about Him and to bring forth new expressions of love and light and of the unity that is at the foundation of all being. Thus, these creative channels or avenues that many bring with them or develop during incarnation serve as a means by which a refreshing of the spirit is accomplished, an exercising of the mind is felt, and in some cases, even the movement of the body in ways that aid the creative outlet. Thus, there is a refreshing of the totality of the being as an intelligent energy is given forth. The mere, shall we say, handling of intelligent energy is an energizing experience even before form is given to it. As an aside, in case you may wonder why we so often say our name and offer love and light, they are tuning devices that aid each channel in remaining on the beam, shall we say, on the frequency and the vibration that is in the center of the point of contact, so that this collaboration for seekers may hold the maximum amount of solidity. In this process of living the life, experiencing and witnessing the incarnation, there is a tendency for those who are sincere seekers to begin to build pressure within themselves. The earnestness and the sincerity of seeking can seem to create a pressure. Creativity is a way of lightening that pressure, loosening that tight grip on seeking, and letting the imagination fly free. Imagination is precious yeast that leavens the dough of living. Perhaps a cook, instead of cooking a chore, invites the living ingredients in the food to play with her. The story changes, the mood expands, the food is invested with love. Perhaps a technical person is finding it difficult to create that which is needed for an application in the computer. When imagination is invited and creativity is invoked, a new way is seen and everything shuffles into place. When one is working with oneself, there is tremendous creativity involved in lifting away from thought and inviting spirit. In those moments of silence following such an invitation, much expansion may be given to the self by the self, and new realizations may come to the surface. Creativity is not only the creating of written works or music or dance or any of those things one thinks of when thinking about creativity. Creativity and imagination are available in so many ways, on so many levels, and what binds all of the examples together is an attitude that is not invested in maintaining a narrow view, but rather is invested in the truth. We would offer the image of a person who is trying hard to tote everything up into columns of asset and debit, good and evil, functional and dysfunctional. Imagine instead the expansion of mind in allowing a play of detail so that you surprise yourself with a new idea, a new relationship, a new correspondence. All of these ways and many, many more offer to your experience of life a spaciousness, a delight, and a joy. These powerful, positive feelings always tend towards accelerating the evolution of mind, body, and spirit. We would now offer some thoughts on the relationship between the person creating a story with characters and so forth. In other words, a world, and the creator creating the universe. We have said before, through this instrument, that each of you creates a universe. Your subjective creation is measurably different from the creation as witnessed by others. The story of your life, according to you, is probably somewhat different than the story of your life according to someone else. It is important to realize that since the physical world of space-time is illusory in its solidity, it may be difficult for you to comprehend how real your thoughts are, yet they are the realest part of you. This instrument is attempting to perceive the message which we would send. She was wondering in her head if those characters she created can feel the love she sends them the same way she feels love from the Creator. We bring forth the image of the sun, your logos, that radiates light, warmth, and love to this creation. We would say that each of you is a sun, and when you create such a world, your presence is the sun that shines down upon that world. This instrument's character may not be cohesively aware of her involvement in their creation, but it is her love and energy that sustains that reality, just as it is your sun energy that sustains what you perceive as this portion of the universe. This thread of creativity is infinite in its context. It loops into an infinity symbol. As this instrument's creations receive the warmth and energy of her love, they will cause creations of their own, and they will be the sun to their universe. There are infinite suns, and just as the sun is a circle, so the love is one, and it is all connected. When you draw upon the strength of your sun, you are drawing upon the strength of all creation, and when you offer love and light to your creations or to anyone, the entire strength of the infinite creation is behind you. You have the power of the great central sun body of the one Creator at your disposal. As you experience each instance of your incarnation, the nature of this energy, as we said before, is to enliven and to expand that which was, so that there is an increase in the creation itself and your experience of it. The healthiest mode of experience, shall we say, for each seeker of truth is to be able to expand the boundaries of its being in a continuous fashion through the length of the incarnation. This enables the seeker to grow in a fashion which is sustainable, shall we say, and which continues to enrich and enliven the mind, the body, and the spirit. It is easy for this expansive experience to be slowed by the passing of your time and the addition of years to the incarnation, for that which is more familiar becomes a pattern or a ritual, a given within the incarnation, and as more of that which provides a foundation for being is repeated. There tends to be a slowing of this expansive process, which can eventually become full of a momentum, shall we say, that begins to narrow the view of perceptions of the expression of energy and the continued growth of the mind, body, and spirit. This is a natural process that each seeker will experience at some point in incarnation. It is well for each seeker to attempt to remain open to further creativity and expansion of expressions, yet the ability to do so is itself a practice which must be exercised upon a frequent basis. In terms of comparing the self to the Creator, comparing the creations of the self to the creation of the Infinite One, we would say that it is a matter of thought, the quality of your thought. For you see, my friends, it is not simply that creativity is involved in your creating characters or seeing them as real and seeing them act in ways that you did not consciously create. It is deeper than that. It is that throughout your working with the experiencing of life and witnessing all that you witness, you are vibrating at a certain frequency, not because you took thought, but because it is your true vibration. As you work within to clarify your thoughts and to focus on those deepest desires of your heart, you slowly become a thought, not a thought that you think, but a thought that you are. In this way, you are what you seek. The Creator takes no thought in order to vibrate as the Creator, any more than you take thought in order to vibrate as yourself. The Creator is as it is, and we have said many times that we experience this energy as love, unutterable and untainted. Shall you vibrate as love? Shall you create in love, as your love is carried and offered as that which comes through you, is blessed by you and allowed to shine from the eyes, from the heart, from the hand. It expresses a quality of light and love which only you can offer. All that you create, every thought, has the potential for being expanded by the use of imagination and creativity. Those faculties are natural to you, yet they are often discouraged or unappreciated by the surrounding culture. However, they are greatly appreciated by all those forces of spirit that surround you in the unseen realms. Lifting up to imagination is lifting up to spirit. It is asking for light to illumine the page of your life at which you are looking, or the page of your story which you are writing, or the song that you are creating, or the dance that you are dancing. Trust those rhythms in your head. Trust those inchoate urges and enjoy playing like an otter in the waters of life. Question. Quote, often in my dreams I interact with characters that I create in my stories. I was wondering if you'd have anything to say about that. Quote says, once you have created these characters, my sister, they are as real to you as anyone else, and it is only natural that in the working out of the issues that have not been satisfactorily solved in conscious living, those characters would have their parts to play. In another channeling in 2008, they asked, question this evening, would you discuss the spiritual principles behind the creative process of the arts? From a spiritual perspective, what are some of the differences in the creative process between poets, novelists, sculptors, painters, composers, songwriters, actors, and playwrights? We are those known to you as the principle of Quo. Greetings in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator in whose service we come to you this day. The spiritual principle behind the creative process is that each entity is the Creator. Each entity has the innate ability to create things that never were, and to think thoughts that never have been thought. Each entity upon planet Earth in third density is equipped with all of the tools and resources for creativity. You may ask then, why does not everyone create? The challenge of being creative is to retain or produce a way of seeing and perceiving that is original to the Creator. Your culture does not encourage original thought. Your culture does not encourage inner-directed behavior and attitudes. Your culture has a consensus reality which is endlessly materialistic. It is as though with a sea all around you, your culture stands upon a tiny island and says, this is the world. Do not go to the sea. Do not dive deep in unknown waters. Here in this garden, where there is food to eat and work to do, live your life. Question nothing except authority and make no waves. Do not paddle at the shores of the unknown. The culture and its consensus reality in our point of view is the illusion, and the water the reality. The creation of the small island is the pulling together of some gross physical matter upon which to stand, and it is built by fear. At each instance of each of your lives upon planet Earth, infinity and eternity are as close to you as your breath, as near as your heartbeat, each moment upon this seemingly solid Earth, and its seemingly mundane concerns can open up in an instant to reveal the stunning complexity, paradox, and mystery of the infinity of the moment. Land falls away and the waters invite, encourage, and attract the seeking heart to escape the island of consensus reality and plunge into the waters of the noumeno, the unknown, and the wondrous. It is to be noted that the artistic impulse exists in some way, shape, or form in each person. However, in some cases, the environment of childhood is such that there is too much fear built into knowing new things to make it possible for an entity to explore his creative impulse. In other cases, an entity may have greater appreciation and delight in portions of the creative process and yet be unable, for lack of native talent, to manifest that wonderful artistic vision that is in his heart and in his soul. There is a certain percentage of your peoples, many of them being wanderers, whose nature is such and whose pre-incarnative choices of talents are such as to support the creative process. Artists and creators of what this instrument would call intellectual properties are not a different breed than other human beings upon planet Earth. There are those whose gifts include a sensitivity to beauty, which calls them away from the island and into the water. We use this metaphor because the difference between that which is non-magical and that which is magical, or that which is non-creative and that which is creative, is the flatness and the two-dimensionality, shall we say, of the earth at the feet, and the figure walking across the earth at a 90-degree angle to it at all times. There is no roundness. The life is shaped in squares. In the water, if the water separates out, every drop of water is a globe. It is a circular universe, appropriate to the circular energies of time, space, and metaphysical things. We would switch to a different metaphor now in talking about the gateway to intelligent infinity, for the second part of your query, my brother, has to do with possible differences between various types of artists and creators. We would distinguish at the beginning of this conversation between artists and those entities who are moving from an intellectual perspective and are not involved in the artistic impulse, but rather have found that the gifts produced by him are well accepted and can offer him a good living. We are talking about those with the spontaneous and irresistible urge to create, those who are playing a role in seeing artistic production as a kind of career or work limit themselves by remaining within the lower chakras in their expression of material offered by them or to them if they are singers or actors. We speak, as we believe you intended us to speak, strictly of those artists who must express that which is within them, who are irresistibly drawn to perform and to share their gifts. Whether or not such entities would think of offering their gifts in a spiritual sense, it is indeed a spiritual exercise by its very definition. For in order to make contact with the creative impulse, the entity must move into the open heart, or green ray chakra, and thereby move upwards into the ray of communication, the blue ray, and the ray of faith, indigo ray, and thenceforth to move into the violet ray and the gateway to intelligent infinity. An artist is moving his attention into a place where he is able to draw from beyond that gateway the inspiration and information needed in order to be able to express the visions that he has seen and the perceptions he has garnered in his own way. He is as the treasure hunter who finds the treasure and then must share it. This instrument is fond of a musician known as Willie. This singer and songwriter was once asked how he created so many beautiful melodies. The one known as Willie said, "There are melodies moving through the air at all times. It is just a matter of picking one out of the air and putting words to it. This entity was accurate. The infinity of possibilities flows through the gateway to those who access it at all times. There is no end to the creative impulse. We would note that the great and universal difficulty which artistic entities face is that they become overly fond of remaining in the chakras we have just mentioned: the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the brow chakra, and the gateway chakra. They prefer to remain completely in the upper chakras and not to take care of or honor the lower chakras. Therefore, they become untethered to the earth, shall we say. They are not grounded into their lives and their incarnations. This is the temptation for those who love beautiful things, not realizing that beauty begins with the stench of birth, the blood, the wailing, the sharp light, and the terror. The creative process must move down daily and consciously into those very beginnings of life, into red ray with its survival and sexuality, into orange ray and yellow ray with its relationships, and work with the entire energy body in order to have the strength and the sheer energy flowing through the energy body in order to make the most of the spiritual gifts of creativity, while not destroying the body, the emotions, or the mind quickly or gradually because of inattention to the lower chakras and their issues and concerns. Various artists have chosen before incarnation to bring with them into life various creative gifts. One may sing, another may be a wonderful actor, one may write, another may paint. The differences between the different kinds of artistry have to do with the personality or character of the individual who is striving to express artistic feelings and concepts. Some there are who like to remain within the heart and are expressing from the heart. These, in many cases, are performers. Those who create music, shall we say, or create operas or ballets, move from the heart chakra. Others there are who have the pronounced blue ray. Those with this particular character will find it irresistible to attempt to communicate in new ways, and many of these are writers, playwrights, poets, and inspired teachers, for teaching is, in itself, an art form. Many there are whose character and personality are such they are drawn to the realms of faith, will, and magic. A mixture of these energies is unique to each artist, and therefore the mode or manifestation of that art within him will also be unique. Certainly, too, an artist may move in his life through various phases in which he is coming from the heart, or the desire to communicate, or from the desire to express the magic of life. But these are the waters in which the artist plays. Jim asks, are the numbers, ratios, and arbitrary rates a helpful spiritual lens for understanding the creative process and the creative product? We are those of Quo and are aware of your query, my brother. Indeed, the mathematics and ratios are intrinsic and absolutely necessary to the creative process. And if an artist is having difficulty focusing, it may be very helpful for such an entity to work with mathematics, especially sacred geometry. If one looks at language itself, it is sacred geometry. Each letter in a word has a certain energy. Each word made up of certain letters has a certain energy. The study of not just language, but alphabets and symbols is endlessly fascinating, and it can be seen that through the doorway of letters and words, an infinite amount of energy may flow. Such tools are necessary for the artist. In music as well, it may easily be seen that there is a series of mathematical ratios betwixt the 12 tones of the Western scale. There are mathematical ratios betwixt various chords, duads, and triads within that system of octaves which musicians use to create the beauty of a melody and the richness of harmonization and symphony. Jim asks, in order to bring us full circle, would you discuss the spiritual principles behind the attraction of art, literature, and theater for non-artists, and the population in general from a spiritual perspective, being sensitive to how different types of art may uniquely tweak the creative process? How does art affect us? We are those of Quo and are aware of your query, my brother. As we said previously, all entities are creators, but not all entities are drawn to express their creativity. They are solidly attached to their little island of consensus reality. They want the ground firm, beneath them and the sky above. They wish their feet not to sink into the unknown, and yet the creative impulse dwells within all. It is part of being the creator. Each entity is a sub-creator. Each entity has a magical ability. Each entity, through faith and will, can change his world. But there is such a deep acceptance of consensus reality in many, there is no potential outlet for creative expression in the sense of original creativity. Although you may see the creative impulse moving through any entity's life in a collection of Barbie dolls arranged just so, or a beautifully decorated Christmas tree, or meals that are prepared with love, or children that are raised with genius. Many people, left to themselves, will not enter into intellectual creation, shall we say. They will not let go of the box in which their lives are bound, for they feel safe there. Yet how wonderful it is to be able to step into a theater, or a movie house, an opera house, or a place where a ballet is being offered, and to sit in the audience and let the performers take you into the water. They aren't steering the boat, but they can appreciate the trip, and they know that this delicious dose of mystery and paradox will end, and they will be back safely upon the shores of their island once again. It can be thought of, and this is a shallow statement but helpful perhaps, as a left brain, right brain difference, saying that the left brain has to do with living on the island and making good use of time within the box, and the right brain then goes begging and does not have its needs fulfilled. It is not exercised, it lies dormant. Art therefore can take one out upon the water and lift that dormancy into activity, and suddenly the right brain is working. It feels very good. It makes the attendee or the appreciator of art feel as though he is also creative. It is contagious. Looked at another way, an artist could be described as an entity who is able to compress the vastness of human experience into an offering small enough to view as a whole. In this compression into image, metaphor, melody, and so forth comes an intensification of power, so that an artist may punch through fear and bring the attendee or the audience into a place of freedom or love. The artist has a tendency to tell the truth that has either escaped the multitudes around him or has become too dreadful to contemplate and therefore is ignored. Further, an artist is able to bring a people, a nation, a world through the process of grief and sorrow by creating beauty within that grief and sorrow and despair. Jim then asks, finally from a spiritual perspective, what is the significance of the rise in interest in creativity in almost every cultural domain? We are those of Quo and are aware of your query, my brother. Perhaps you've heard the expression, there's something in the air. Spring is in the air. Christmas is in the air. At this time, my brother, the new age is in the air. The veil rends. The gateway to intelligent infinity is more easily entered. Vibrations of truth are bombarding at planet Earth at this time. Waves and waves of clarity and true perception are interpenetrating with the third density vibration of consensus reality in a way that cannot be ignored. If an entity is deep asleep, he may simply feel these waves of energy as experiencing that things are getting more difficult, and he must shut down more and more and focus on just surviving. This is due to the fact that he has not yet welcomed himself, gotten to know himself, come to accept himself, and finally seen the creator within himself. However, every entity upon planet Earth today is capable of breaking through to a standpoint from which these energies are used in a positive way. It takes tremendous courage to open up to those crashing waves of perception and say, I'm in for the ride. I will use this energy to see more deeply into myself, to accept myself more fully, to love myself more dearly, to see the creator within me and honor that spark of Godhead. These are wondrous times. For your people approach graduation day, shall we say. That point after which each death from life on planet Earth shall be entirely open to the possibility of moving forward into fourth density. And not only is the planet and the solar system as a whole receiving these incredible waves of energy signaling the end of third density and the beginning of the dawning of a new age of fourth density, but also at this time there is tremendous interest in helping those of planet Earth who wish to move forward in a service to others manner to succeed. So the inner planes are rich with those who come to experience this time of shift with the incarnate entities of planet Earth. Angelic entities are everywhere. Nature divas, nature spirits are everywhere, all wanting to play, to sing, to dance with you, with each, with all, inviting each to dance this dance into the sun, into the light, into the dawning of the new day. We ourselves are among those who have been drawn to your planet at this time, so that we may, in our humble and modest way, offer ourselves to those who might find our information useful or helpful. You may expect to see more and more of the artistic impulse within the children of your planet as they are born within the very specific confines of entities who shall live a part of their lives in fourth density. They are wired for both third density and fourth density within their DNA. Consequently, they can accept far more creative information. For them, the veil is much thinner. Question: would you discuss the relationship between empathy and the creative process? We are aware of your query, my brother. There's a profound difference between empathy, or the ability to feel fellow feeling for another entity, and the individual creative process. You might see it as the difference between a horizontal action and a vertical action. When an entity is so open-hearted that he's able to put himself into another's shoes and to walk a mile in his shoes, he has indeed performed a creative act. He has accepted his brother as himself. He has taken on his burdens. He's experienced that which he can never experience within his own individual life. This indicates a magical and loving personality with a spiritual maturity that is unique to those who have awakened and who have become able to be magical persons. Yet that exchange of energy in empathy is horizontal. It is from person to person. Each of the two offers the dynamic of the Creator between them. However, the Creator is not something for which the empathic person is reaching. Empathy is person to person, eye to eye, and heart to heart. In the creative process of an artist who is working with his imagination, there is a vertical energy where the artist is opening to higher energies, higher perceptions, and the transformative and magical nuances that he senses and then goes hunting for, just as we said, like a treasure hunt. This is a vertical energy. It is that which moves one very decisively out of the box of consensus reality and into that awareness that the ground upon which you stand is merely an illusion, and that in truth there is infinity below and infinity above and eternity on both sides. The next question was inaudible, and Quo answers, an artist's sense of aesthetics is as unique as his personality. An artist tends to create from perceptions that make something new of the familiar and take that which is known into places where it becomes something unknown. This instrument, to give one example, has recently seen the work of an artist who takes everyday objects such as plastic water bottles and creates photographs that have a surface beauty to them, but which also have the deepest expression of concern for planet Earth. Look at all those water bottles, the artist says with the photo. Look at the sea of water bottles that we as a nation have used and discarded in just one day. A vast sea of transparent bottles fills the picture frame to frame, and beneath the undulating waves of crystalline beauty there lies the message. To move further back for another example, in a time of horror and war, the one known as Bruegel painted what he saw, and to this day entities are able to look at that painting and have an immediate insight into the nature of human suffering. It is not that dark things in and of themselves are beautiful, any more than it is that positive or light things are in and of themselves beautiful. It is the perception that the flat postcard of vision can explode into an infinity of concepts that drives beauty. We are those of Quo, and are aware that the energy of this instrument is waning. We would at this time, therefore, with great reluctance say, as did Romeo, parting is such sweet sorrow. We leave you, as we have found you, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Adonai, Adonai. What a beautiful summary of the powerful and unique aspects of creation as it relates to our own spiritual path and our movement into fourth density. I can tell you from my own personal experience and my kids that I do feel that there is a greater curiosity and pulling towards these artistic sensitivities. More people are painting, writing music, writing stories, and just generally needing to express this creative urge within themselves. When we listen to Neville Goddard, we talk about imagination all the time. And the imagination is God. Imagination is everything. And so when we come into contact with our imagination, we are coming into contact with the Creator. It's a powerful and beautiful thing. Every time I paint, it feels like a prayer. I can hear the voice of the Creator in my head. When we look at the Walter Russell information, Walter Russell was this amazing artist, sculptor, and painter. And he says that he got all of that, not from his own skills or talents, but from a connection that he made to the Creator. The artistic path is powerfully unique. And another example I can give you is my wife. She used to work at a pretty grueling, laborious job that required physical labor all day. And we got her in a position where she didn't have to work anymore. And then suddenly she found herself painting. And as she did it, she would say, "Brian, my mind is silent in these moments." And for her, it became actual meditation. And she started to feel these connections spiritually to the Creator as she would paint. That may not be for everyone, but it has been that way for me. And I'd love to know about your own spiritual journey. I don't care how old you are or what you're doing. You are an artist. You are the Creator. And that is the real reason that we're here. We're just remembering all this stuff we're supposed to remember, but the real reason is to be the Creator. Because eventually we're not going to just be painting paintings. We're creating universes. We're creating universes. That is what you will do one day. So I'd love to get your perspective on creativity and spirituality. Let me know, how's your creative process going, and are you using it in a spiritual way? You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.